What's up guys, it's Tom from Chalking Fitness, and a lot of you might have already seen, but 10 PM last night, which was Saturday the 9th, CrossFit Games posted around how they were changing the invite system for the 2020 Games, which they're hoping to hold at the ranch in Aromas, California in late July, August this year. So essentially they've said that now they will be inviting 30 athletes, 30 men, 30 women, via the Open and Sanctionals that took place in person before the lockdown. So they're looking to invite the top 20 athletes through the Open, and then 10 invites via the Sanctionals that took place. So before kind of going into that, what does that look like compared to where we were before? Well, before they'd still invite the top 20 from the Open, but they'd also first roll out invites to national champions. And what that did was bring the kind of invites and expanded that down to 28th for men and down to 33rd for women, and that really represents the much greater kind of national diversity in the top level athletes in the women's field versus the men's. So that all pulls back now to kind of the 20th cutoff, and so there are a lot of athletes there who will not be getting their invite via Open, and obviously we've got all the athletes who are getting their invite via the national champs no longer unfortunately get that invite. What does it mean for Sanctionals? Well, previously at a Sanctional, if an athlete who finished on the podium already had an invite through as a national champ or through the Open, then the invite would pass down to kind of athletes lower down the leaderboard. So for example, at Wodapalooza, Saxon Panchik, who finished 4th, retains his invite because everyone above him is still finishes in the top 20 of the leaderboard. However, Emily Rolfe finished 10th, and her invite, unfortunately, will be rescinded and sent back to someone further up the leaderboard who doesn't qualify through a different method anymore. If we look at strength in depth, so our UK Sanctional, the women's invite actually moves, unfortunately, from Kelsey Keel, who was in 5th, up to Hayley Adams, who's in 3rd. Whereas David Schrunke keeps his invite, having finished 2nd behind Matt Fraser, who finishes I think he finished 2nd in the Open, so that's his invite. He retains an invite through the Open. So let's have a think about kind of other athletes. So unfortunately, this is going to impact. So Meg Lovegrove was the women's national champion for the UK. She's 75th worldwide, so sadly is under this new format announced by CrossFit Games, is going to kind of lose that invite to the Games this year. And then Sam Stewart, who's 39th Irish national champion. He's 39th worldwide, and I think it's a tough ask to think that there's going to be enough kind of like declines to kind of bring that line from 20th all the way down to the 39th. Looking back at the UK, Elliot Simmons and Zach George. Elliot's in 24th and Zach George is in 26th, and they're both unfortunately at this point in time the wrong side of the bubble. However, we already know that Rich Froning has declined and Theo Fernandez has a drug sanction, so that brings the spot 2 down, which then brings in Gamboa, it brings in Chandler Smith, and it means that Elliot is now only 2 spots out. Apparently CrossFit Mayhem are planning to do a team competition this summer. We don't know when that's going to be, potentially a similar time to the Games. But that could mean there are other athletes in that top 20 who are already on qualifying teams that may decide we're going to continue to go team, going to focus on that team competition being run by Mayhem, and so we might see other spots start to kind of like open out. Roman Krenikov is in the top 20, he may have visa issues, and so we might see again it creep closer to Elliot initially, but even Zach George after that as well. So I think the other thing we can't forget as well is that there's huge uncertainty and will remain huge uncertainty about international travel. So there are many athletes who may either proactively decline or have to subsequently decline because they can't actually make the trip to Aromas, California. And it remains to be seen how CrossFit Games, and until when will there be a final deadline that they'll continue to roll out invites to athletes who finished just outside the top 20, but as spots become available. Equally, it's not clear if the Sanctional invites will be rolled out to athletes who finished lower down the leaderboard, if kind of athletes qualifying through Sanctionals decline their invite. So yeah, big uncertainty. There was a big kind of shock last weekend as well, when CrossFit Games announced that they were not going to take the teens and the age groups beyond the online qualifier, which is, I'm sure, a huge disappointment to many athletes around the world. But it's uncertain times, not just for CrossFit, but all over the world. So let's just see what happens. Hope everyone's safe. Take care, and speak to you again soon. Cheers.